Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be cooking beef tips, not on the Green Mountain Grill, but just on the stove. But don't take that too lightly because they're still going to be delicious. So what we're going to start out with, I got a couple shoulder steaks. These are nice because they're not super lean. There's a little bit of fat on there. We're not going to cook all the fat in it, but we're going to cook the fat with it so that we get the flavor of the fat in, then we'll pull the fat out later. I'll show you that in detail in a little bit. 2 medium to large white or yellow onions, and we're gonna go with mini bella mushrooms today. Usually I just use white mushrooms, but we're gonna use mini bellas because that's what I have in the refrigerator. So I'm gonna chop these up, not too small, because I want the mushrooms to be a decent size, and then I'm gonna chop up the onions, probably a little bit smaller on the pieces of this. Maybe quartered. So anyways, I'm gonna get this stuff chopped up. I'll come back in a few minutes once it's all chopped up, show you what it's like, then we'll get it in the pan and see what it's like. I got the meat chopped up, I got the onions chopped up, and the mushrooms. When I cook, I'm gonna start the onions and the mushrooms first. Probably the onions first because they're gonna take the longest to cook, because I'm gonna get them nice and translucent. I'm going to throw the mushrooms in on top of them, and I'm cooking those in butter, and I'm going to season with a little bit of Lowry seasoned salt and garlic powder, and I'm going to let those cook down till they're almost done. Then in another skillet, I'm going to use cast iron skillet today for this, I'm going to put some butter in there, a little bit of olive oil, and I'm going to season the meat with the same Lowry's and garlic, but I'm going to get it hot, and I want to cook it hot so I cook the meat quick. I'm going to throw a little bit of fresh thyme and rosemary in there. This adds some really nice flavor. I keep these plants around because I love cooking ribeyes in a cast iron skillet with some butter and rosemary and thyme. They're delicious. That'll be a different video for a different time, but take a look at the vegetables here and we'll get them in the pan. Alright, so here's our beef that's chopped up here. Fine little pieces. You can really, how you want them cooked. I like them medium, so I leave them a little bit bigger so that they don't get done all the way through. Here's these big pieces of fat. Like I said, we're going to season these, and we're going to put them in the pan. We're going to discard them when we're done, but we're doing that for flavor. And then the onion, pretty much sliced it, so you can see, small enough that it'll cook all the way, but big enough that you can still have a chunk of onion. And then the mushrooms, I just sliced about the size of, however you want them, thickness-wise. Depends on your preference, but this is how I slice them. They're not too thick. And fresh thyme and rosemary right there. So, okay, so the onions are on. Just going to put a little bit of garlic in there. And let me get a little bit of seasoned salt. Not too much. It's like I might have overdid a little bit on the garlic, but I'll just add a little bit less to the steak. So we're going to let these cook down for a little bit, and then we're going to get the mushrooms in there when they're almost done. Okay, so the onions have been on for about 10 minutes. They're nice and golden brown here. We're going to go ahead and get the, see how nice and golden brown those are? We're going to go ahead and get the mushrooms in here. These are probably going to be on for 5 minutes or so. We're going to let them cook down a little bit. Once they're on for about 5 minutes, we're going to get the steak going in the cast iron skillet here with rosemary and butter. So we're going to let these cook for a few minutes. I'll be back to get the steak on. Okay, so the mushrooms and onions have been on here for about 5 minutes. They're cooking down real nice. So about when the meat's done, these will be ready. I got the pan real hot. The cast iron skillet is hot. I got butter in there. I got those pieces of fat rendering down here so we can get the flavor. We're going to pull those out at the end. Thyme and rosemary is hot. You can turn this down a little bit. Mix everything in here good. Like I said, we want to cook this beef pretty quick. And what I'm going to do, get a little olive oil in here. And just let this cook down. This is going to be about 2 or 3 more minutes here. And these will be done. And then we'll get the onions and mushrooms in there. Okay, the beef's been on for about 4 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and get these pieces of fat out of there that we rendered down. Hopefully they are leaving some delicious flavor in here. Very sure that's all of them. If not, there's going to be some tasty fat left in here. Oh, there's the other one. I thought there was 4. Alright, now that these cooked down, what we're going to do is get these mushrooms and onions in here. Just mix these together. I'm going to turn this down to simmer. Just let these cook together just for a few minutes so the flavors mix pretty good. And then we're going to be ready to serve these beef tips. We'll give them a taste and see how they turned out. So, alright, we're going to let them simmer for a few minutes. And we'll be back when we get them on the plate. So, we'll be back in a few. Okay, so these have been cooking together, simmering for about 4 or 5 minutes here. And you see that gravy's getting real nice and thick in there. And that's all just from the butter and the olive oil. And of course all the water and that cooked down from the onions, mushrooms, and the steak. So that's about ready to turn off and put on a plate. Okay, so I got the heat off. I'd say this is done. Look at that nice, thick, syrupy goodness right here. Look at that. You can see the nice pieces of onion and mushroom in there. Let's get some of this on a plate and we'll taste it and see how it turned out. Okay. Got some of this on a plate. Gonna try and taste this right now. I got an onion, got some beef, and mushroom all in one bite here. That is really good. That is really good. So remember, I use a shoulder steak. You can get a ribeye, you can get a strip steak. Cut up any kind of your favorite steak and make this. I just used a cheap piece of meat and it turned out really nice. So I hope this video was entertaining for you. Hope you learned something. And remember, like my video down, just click the little thumbs up down there. If you like these videos, please go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Click the bell, you'll get a notification every time I post a new video. So I appreciate you tuning in. I love cooking, and I'm going to finish this up. Stop back. Thanks for watching.